What is going on, ladies and gentlemen of YouTube? It's David here with Mac Tutorials 14. And so today, I know I'm late, and I actually posted, I was going to post this earlier, and I did a video earlier, but I just didn't get around to posting it just because, I didn't think I made a good use of my 15-minute limit because I can only record videos up to 15 minutes now because of that content ID strike. Hopefully in a couple of months that won't be the case anymore. By the summer, obviously, that won't be the case anymore. But anyway, I did just want to touch on the fact that Taig did actually come out today, come out of the woodwork, a couple of the members of the Taig team, and actually announce a couple of things. So I'm going to basically be telling you guys a couple of the things that they announced. The first thing is they didn't really, I don't know if they even mentioned this, but the first thing that I wanted to get out of the way is the Taig team actually does have an official Twitter that you can follow them on now. They had, I think they registered it, like maybe the day after they released the jailbreak, or maybe it was that day, I don't know, but it really wasn't active, up until today when they actually released, FAQs, and also they released version 1.0.2, I believe, of their utility. That version dropped. I believe that's what the version is. I'm not 100% sure. But it's the version that actually translates the jailbreak utility, jailbreak tool, from Chinese to full-on English. Now, again, these guys usually like to use Google Translate for a lot of this stuff. Google Translate's pretty popular. But, it might be popular, but it's not, it's not the best thing to use. So keep in mind, these guys, like I said, got it from Google Translate. They translated it from Google Translate. So obviously the translations are going to be nowhere near perfect. But it's good enough where you can read it and get an understanding of what's going on, what's happening on the device right now, what you need to do. For example, turn off Find My iPhone, sign out of iCloud, whatever it is. And it'll tell you that even if it's not in 100% perfect English, because remember, these guys did not go ahead and send over, the jailbreak tool to 100%, like, to an English Chinese translator that's able to read Mandarin and, translate it into English and write a whole, user interface for that and then send it back to the Taig team and Taig team releases it. They just got all this stuff off Google Translate. So to be honest, we don't know how reliable all these translations are. But like I said, it's good enough where you can, basically guess what's going on from, the translations that they had. So that's the first thing. And the second thing is it is still a Windows, and this is what I wanted to stress as well. It is still a Windows only tool. And the next thing that they announced is a Mac version will be coming in the future. They didn't pinpoint exactly when, but basically, when they were asked about it, they basically said, look, we're working on it. We're doing the best we can. We don't know exactly when and if it's going to come out, but it will probably come out sometime soon. So they didn't give exactly any release date, but we can probably, I'm going to pinpoint a release on it. Probably, by Christmas, we probably will have this updated for a Mac, jailbreak tool, and it will be in full English, just like the Pangu team had done a couple of weeks back with Pangu 8. So it wouldn't surprise me if maybe they did an early Christmas release of this, just like they did, because they released it the day before Thanksgiving, this jailbreak, so it wouldn't actually surprise me since Christmas is coming up, and it'll be here in another couple of weeks if they release the Mac version, as an early Christmas present, and basically dub that over and say Happy Christmas, or Merry Christmas to everyone, or whatever. So it's going to be kind of cool to see what happens. So that's the first thing. The second thing as well, when the jailbreak was first announced, I actually heard it from Muscle Nerd. I was scrolling through my Twitter feed because I was watching Rocky, which, by the way, is a fantastic movie. Don't know why I didn't watch it earlier, but I was on Netflix watching that, and I was about to go to bed. I was super, super tired, and then all of a sudden, I was scrolling through my Twitter feed. I was like, oh, man, I don't want to do this now. It's too late. I was about to go to bed. I was like this close to going to bed, and, now there's a jailbreak out. Like, I really hope this isn't real. And I clicked on the link, and sure enough, it was 100% real. And I was like, all right, well, now I gotta sit down and figure out, how this works and everything. So I didn't complete the jailbreak tutorial until later that day. But anyway, yeah. So, basically, the consensus of the Taig team is that the Taig team was bad originally because Again, if you don't remember that whole situation with Evasion 7, or if you weren't in the jailbreak community for Evasion 7, you might not remember it. But basically, what ended up happening was around the same time last year, the Evaders, which is a popular jailbreaking or hacking team, went ahead and released an iOS 7.0 through, I think it was 7.0.6 jailbreak. It got patched on 7.1. But it was 7.0 through 7.0.6 jailbreak called Evasion 7, fully untethered, by the way. And basically, they came out with this, gave Sarek and the rest of the jailbreak community no lead-in time at all. And the most surprising thing is, the Evaders didn't tell Sarek at all that this was releasing. Normally, what used to happen in the jailbreak community is if there was going to be a jailbreak release, someone would kind of tease it, saying, "We have this in the works. We'll let you guys know what happens. We're updating or whatever," and then a tweet pops up later. It's going to be released, blah blah blah, or it'll be released next week or whatever, and they don't give an exact time, but they say there's a progress bar on our website. They did that with the original Evasion, but basically what happened was it was a huge race between the Evaders and a couple of other companies, a couple of other jailbreak hackers and developers to release this iOS 7 jailbreak. And word broke to the Evaders that people were, not too far behind them, racing against them to try to push out a jailbreak. They were like, all right, we don't care how buggy this thing is. We need to release this now. It's in the stage right now. We have the GUI. We got our devices successfully jailbroken. Even if Cydia doesn't, completely 100% work on iOS 7, and there's not a lot of things that work. A lot of things are broken with iOS 7. We need to push this thing out. That way, we get we're in the spotlight. We get the fame. We get all the glory and everything that comes with that. So we're going to go ahead and push this out, even if it's not ready. So they went ahead and did that. But something happened behind the scenes. And a lot of people, this was a huge backlash back last year. Basically, what happened was right before they were about to release this, basically a company known as Taig, like I said, went ahead and called up the Evaders and said, listen, if you go ahead and bundle this jailbroken app store, this third-party jailbreak app store, it's basically the Cydia equivalent it's basically a Cydia equivalent, except it's all in Chinese and, stuff like that, and it's a piracy app store and stuff. So they said, listen, if you bundle this in with Evasion 7 for users that jailbroke their device, wherever that have Chinese, that have the Chinese language on their device set up as default, if you go ahead and bundle that into your jailbreak, we'll give you $1 million. So, of course, the Evaders team were all in for it because $1 million is a lot of money, and especially for all the work that they do, they wanted, they wanted to be, to be compensated for. I guess I think they wanted a little bit of money back because the jailbreak is free, even though there is a donate button. I don't know, how many people do donate. They do take the time to work on this. They, some of the guys, have a life. They have family. They have children. They have a wife. They have, whatever it is. They have something to go home to go home to at the end of the day. So for them to sit on their computer coding this stuff for probably a long period of time, probably close to like 6-7 hours, each day to go home and code this, minus their family and, just completely isolate themselves and go ahead and, code this jailbreak, sit there and code this for days and days and days, they deserve some money back. So, of course, they ended up taking this and, a lot of people were really, really mad and really, there was a huge, giant backlash. Sorry for doing this. My phone's about to die, so I don't want it to, so that's why I'm plugging it in right now. But there was just a huge backlash because people were like, oh, you're selling out to China. They gave you $1 million, so you're doing this. And now, there's this whole piracy thing involved with this. What's going on? So actually, I think it was either Aaron Ash or a popular developer. I don't know exactly who it was. It might have been Aaron Ash. I don't exactly remember. But he actually jailbroke with Evasion, and he jailbroke using the Chinese language on his device just to kind of see what would go on, what would happen. And he actually, later that day when Evasion 7 first got released, he basically tweeted out a picture on his Twitter basically saying, what's going on here? Because he tweeted a picture of, Taig, and it was not just any picture. It was a picture of his jailbreak tweak. I think it was, I'm pretty sure it was Barrel, but like I said, I don't know whether it was Aaron Ash, the developer of Barrel or not, but it was a premium paid jailbreak tweak that normally does cost money in Cydia, and there are ways and workarounds of getting it for free. If you really want to, you can crack it, but you need to install sources. They are not there by default. You have to actually add them by yourself. They do not come on Cydia by default. So apparently Taig actually went ahead and installed some popular cracked repos. We don't actually even know the names of them, but they went ahead and installed them by default. So that was the first thing. And, those popular repositories and repos and sources or whatever had all of these cracked applications on there and cracked, third-party, stuff, jailbreak tweaks and stuff, all available for free. That was normally a premium price, like $1.99, $2.99, whatever the price was. It did cost money on Cydia, or it did cost money in the App Store, because they actually were releasing pirated apps on there for free as well. So for them to go ahead and do that, the evaders were outraged, and they said basically they signed, they knew about this piracy thing, but they basically told Taig, look, we'll be willing to do this. We'll be willing to sign your contract as long as you promise us that you won't go ahead and, your servers won't go ahead and, push out pirated stuff for this jailbreak. We want to make sure that there's no piracy on here. We want to make it as clean as possible. We don't want to make it, pirated or anything. So they said okay to that. And now that the evaders found out that they broke that contract, they basically went behind the evaders' back and went ahead and did it anyway, even though the evaders and them had both agreed not to do it. They just felt like they needed to do it and went behind their back and did it anyway. So as soon as they figured that out, they basically cut the cord from Taig and completely just removed Taig from the jailbreak tool, just kind of completely downgraded like the tool to where you couldn't even use Taig anymore. Like it was just Cydia by default, which a lot of people liked, but for a while they actually had lost a large percentage of the jailbreak community had lost faith, I guess, like I said, faith in the in the evaders, because they were selling out to China and everything like that. So these guys were not really well respected. They were infamous, and they were infamous for pirated stuff and bad stuff, and sketchy things, and they just had a really, really bad rep ever since that in the jailbreaking community. So for them to kind of bounce back here and kind of release something out of the blue that we didn't even think about, because really there was no point of doing it, because upon release, 8.1 was still being signed. Thank God they did actually release that, though, because 8.1 is no longer being signed by Apple. So if you either have 8.1.1 installed on your device by default, you either you decide to install 8.1.1 on your device, or you do it without knowing, or your device comes with 8.1.1 by default, which I don't even know if any devices are shipping with 8.1.1 as of right now, just because 8.1.1 came out like 2 weeks ago. So I don't know if their servers are 100% updated yet. But if your device does come with 8.1.1, and now you're not able to downgrade, so, and you want to jailbreak your device, so that's where Taig comes in. So anyway, guys, before that, there really was no need for it. And also, the last thing that I wanted to talk about was, in Muscle Nerd's original tweet, like I said, going back to that, he mentioned 8.2 Beta 1 actually is jailbreakable. Now, while it should support iOS 8.2 Beta 1, it does not. They simply have just went ahead, Taig just simply went ahead and completely disabled that feature. So you're not actually even able to, successfully jailbreak iOS 8.2 Beta 1. If you try, you will actually get an error saying that for whatever reason it cannot, jailbreak the device. So the reason, like I said, for this is because they disabled, the jailbreak for 8.2 right now, simply because 8.2 is in the early beta stage. It's in the first beta stage, and likely there's going to be more betas that come out, beta 2, beta 3, beta 4, and so on until, the last beta. And basically the consensus is until after it's out of beta, until it's in public, until it's the latest public firmware, until 8.2, the official version, is out to everyone, they're going to disable that, or maybe until it gets later in the beta stage, they'll go ahead and enable that. But anyway, it should, they're just, the reason for that is because they're just trying to hold on to those exploits while they can. That way, they don't want to enable it so that Apple reverse engineers what they figured out and goes ahead and patches it when 8.2 releases, because again, 8.2 is the firmware that actually comes with WatchKit. But anyway, guys, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, this is David signing out. Peace.